Hi, my name is Jeff from Mental Health Resource.
And I am Keta Loren with the StraitJacket Podcast. And today we have a very special guest with us, Sonny Von Cleavland. He went mega viral for telling his story a few years back, and he has been actually traveling the country this last few months, telling his story and telling other people's story. He's an author, a speaker, and a content creator as well, and just has an incredible story of resilience and has a lot to say about trauma and recovery from trauma. So tell us a little bit about Sonny growing up.
Well, Sonny growing up wasn't very good. I actually just came to find out when I left for tour. I left July 1st for this gargantuan tour I was doing. And 6 days into it, I found out that I was actually trafficked by my mother, that she actually knew it. So many things have come out since I put my book out that this thing's almost inaccurate at this point. You know, one of the major things was when I put the book to press, my wife and I called my mother to try to verify like a date or a name or something. And she's like, wait, you only put 4 dudes in there? I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, what about the old man that used to give you money? And what about my ex-boyfriend in the van? And what about Robbie Wheeler? And I'm like,
Oh my God.
There was 7 dudes. Like, how did I miss?
Your brain was protecting you.
And it was like, I had completely just blocked these guys out. Yeah. But my life it's crazy. Like I talk in the book, starting off at 5 years old when my uncle started to molest me. And I kind of talk about the house that was my grandmother's house that this all happened in. And I wasn't allowed upstairs. And we found out after that, it's why I wasn't allowed upstairs, because it actually started when I was 3. And my grandparents had swept it under the rug and got him mental health counseling. And I was not allowed upstairs. So that was all the ramifications that had come from him molesting me when I was 3 and 4 when they found out. And so dealing with that, that was my whole childhood. My whole childhood was just, you know, I was being raped 3-4 times a week by these guys. You know, my mom's boyfriends, my mom's friends. And it just kind of became commonplace for me. To where like, I just kind of thought that this was life. This was, I mean, as a 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, like for this to happen. When I was 5 years old, or when I was 7 years old, I broke into a church in our small little town, and I was charged with a felony at 7 years old in 1988. And which I can't look back and fathom why you would charge a 7-year-old with a felony. But then, you know, my mother was this big anti-government person. Like she would go down and protest at the small little county courthouse. And so I believe that it was because of my mother's altercations with the local authorities that's why they did it. Yeah. So they charged me with a felony. When I went in and saw Judge Skinner when I was 7 years old, he gave me 60 days probation. When I got put on probation, all the molestation stopped. Like nobody was coming over. We weren't going to my grandma's house. And so I found like this safety net, right? It's because when I got off probation, well, we're going to go back to grandma's house, and the molestation starts up, and then Tim comes over and we go over to, or Daryl comes over, we go over to Tim's house. And so in my young mind, I'm like, well, if I just stay in trouble, then this will stop happening. Yeah. And so I continued to break the law all the time. I would steal things. I would break into stuff. And by the time I'm 15 years old, I got 12 felonies on my record. Yeah. And, you know, Judge Skinner, my whole life is just constantly putting me on probation. And nobody's asking a question. You know, no lawyers are like, oh, what the hell's going on with this kid? He's catching all these felonies. And so it just became this thing in my life. And then the judge just was sick of me when I was 15, you know, and he was like, I'm just going to send you to prison.
Could I ask you, because you seem like a really positive like guy right now. What was your, I guess, emotional, how were you like emotionally at that time?
I was a train wreck.
Yeah.
I was this horribly reclusive kid. I showered like once every 2 weeks. I thought that if I stunk, people would leave me alone. They wouldn't touch me, but pedophiles don't really care. But kids care at school. And so I was horribly bullied in school, made myself a target. You know, I had long, greasy hair. I was a smelly kid, horrible clothes. We were dirt poor. And So I got my ass beat all the time in school. Like it was just I was a horribly reclusive kid, right? Like, and internally I'm very extroverted, right? My whole life I've been extroverted. I love to perform. I love to make people laugh. I love to sing. I love to play music, and music's always been a sanctuary for me. So I would hide in the closet and listen to music. And, so trying to be this extroverted kid that's just full of fear is this very dichomatic. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean? So it's a word.
Yeah.
This dichotomy that's existing inside of this child that wants to be extroverted but can't be out of fear. I started to go out into the woods, and like I would have imaginary friends. You know, I grew up in very rural country area in Michigan. And so most of my time was spent in the woods with imaginary friends where I would, you know, I was obsessed with like Renaissance era stuff. Like Zelda was everything to me. You know, Lord of the Rings was everything to me. So in the forest was my escape and my getaway. And then when I would get home, it was music. You know, I would hide in the closets or be in my room and just listen. My mother had this really eclectic tape collection of all kinds of music. And I just loved it, right? Like it would take me to another place. And so emotionally, I was a train wreck, you know, and at 13, I had an older brother. He had got taken away when I was like 12. And so it was just me and my mother. And
why'd they take him and not you?
Well, he kind of did that to himself. So like when I think I was 12 and he was 13, we stole my mother's car. She had a 1986 red Ford Escort. And we were just so sick of life at home that he was going to get me out of it. My brother was my hero, right? Like, I mean, this kid, he would beat kids up that beat me up. And like, my brother was my hero. And so we stole my mom's car and we were going to go to Chicago and don't know why, but we successfully heisted the car and we made it to Chicago and got arrested at 5:00 in the morning in Hodgkins, Illinois. We were gone for a whole day.
Yeah.
And, then they took him away. I don't know what happened, but he was gone.
Yeah.
And he had went to a detention facility, and then he escaped from there. And so that brought more charges. And then he stole a cop car and was on the run in
so he
Detroit.
Didn't go into the system like foster care, but he
didn't go in and wasn't a good kid. He went in there and got more and more trouble. So they just, once they got their claws in him, they didn't let him out.
Right. And that's how it is.
And so when I was 13-ish, that's when like, you know, not having my brother there as my guider, not having a father in my life, and going through all this abuse, I really got into sex and drugs and alcohol at a very young age. I was a big kid. I was 6'4" when I was 13 years old, had a mustache coming in. So I was hanging out with all the 20, 21, 22-year-old kids, hanging out at the bars, you know, getting into bar fights, drinking, having sex with older women. And I wasn't really a 13-year-old.
Right.
And so by the time I was 15, you know, I was into a lot of crime. Like I was breaking into a lot of stuff, breaking into homes, stealing things. And the judge was just over it and sent me to prison for 5 years. And it was the first time I'd ever been taken away. I didn't know like Shawshank Redemption? That
yeah.
kind of,
like what would happen?
Yeah. No, you're going to prison. Like shit. And so, you know, you try to prep as best as you can. My mother had came to visit me right after he sentenced me.
Yeah.
She came to see me in the county jail and informed me that she was leaving state. She was going to take off with her boyfriend and they were moving to South Carolina. And so I was just on my own. Like, well, I guess got to go figure this thing out. And didn't know anything about it. And, you know, the first week I was there, I was raped by 2 dudes at knife point. And it broke something in me. I remember laying there after they were done, like, if I don't do something crazy, this is going to be my life. I'm going to be a victim. I'm going to be somebody's bitch this whole time. I can't do this. I don't care what the consequences are. So I grabbed up a handful of pencils and ran across the hallway and I stabbed the shit out of one of the guys in the face. And that changed the whole culture for me. Right? People started to look at me like, this kid's dangerous. Like, don't mess with this kid. Right? I might be, you know, 175 pounds skinny white kid, but like my knife will do just as much damage as anybody else's. And so I started to have this respect in quarantine that was really palpable. Like you could feel it. And when we went to my first facility, Thumb Correctional Facility, they put us in a level 4 because of our age. And my bunkie was a gangbanger in this gang, and they recruited me. Like, we saw what you did there. Like, we could always use another solid guy. And, my first task was to go stab one of these guys. And without hesitation, I lost any sense of fear. I didn't have any fear of hurting people. I didn't have it. And growing up as a kid, I was a very soft kid. Like, I didn't like animal abuse. I didn't like seeing people in fights. I didn't like none of that. And I just lost that. Like, I lost
that innocence.
I lost touch with my sense of compassion and conscious. And I'm going to stab people. This is going to protect me. And so the gangs love that, right? They were like, oh yeah, you're our guy. And so, I shaved my head into a fade and started to get tattoos. And I went from this innocent looking kid to this very vicious looking, young gangbanger. And I epitomized that role harsh because I found this sense of protection and power in it. And so for the next 4.5 years of that time, it was just filled with violence, right? Yeah. Like, it was learning gang politics. I got sent to the very first ever private youth prison in the country. It was run by a company called Wackenhut, and it was in Baldwin, Michigan. And that prison just it was a war zone, the whole place. Within 30 days of it being opened, it was the most violent prison in Michigan, period, from adults, everything. Stabbings, rapings, beatings, drugs. I mean, they're putting corrections officers in there that were hired from Subway. Like, this is a 20-year-old girl who works at Subway, gets thrown in to here being a corrections officer, and everybody's shocked that she's pregnant and smuggling drugs within 30 days.
Right.
Like, what did you expect? All of us have been in prison for years. We're seasoned convicts. Even though we're 17, 18 years old, we're seasoned whoops, that's me.
Oh, it scared me.
I forgot to turn my notification. Zelda.
It's okay.
Zelda's still a big part of my life. Let me just turn those off so that doesn't happen again. So
you were convicts.
We were convicts and seasoned convicts at that. And this place was just nuts. It's like the gangs ran this facility. We ran the whole place. Like, the COs had no idea what to do. They did not see this coming. And so, after being there for a few months, they shut the whole facility down and brought in all these veteran corrections officers from Virginia who then they had to exert their power.
Yeah.
So it became a war between inmates and officers, and they started to torture us. Like, they would throw us in the hole. They would hog tie us and shackle us to the showers and the cages and gas us and beat us. And like, I've lost a tooth because a CO, they gassed me one time and threw me outside in the middle of winter, and they left me out there for hours, and I was freezing, and they'd throw buckets of water on you. And he came out to check to see if I was alive. So he kicked me in the face to see if I was alive. Oh, and that tooth just went flying out. Like, this is how bad these COs were. Yeah. There's been millions and millions and millions of dollars in lawsuits for this facility.
Yeah.
Which of course I missed because, I was spending the next 15 years of my life in prison. But I got sent back to the DOC, and when I was 21, I had maxed out the sentence. So I didn't have anybody to guide me going into this. I could have done 90 days and got out when I was 16 because I was eligible for a boot camp, right? Like, I didn't know that. Nobody told me that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a parent there to be like, hey, if you just go in there and sign up for SAI boot camp, you can just sit there for 30 days. They're going to put you in boot camp for 90 days and you're going to get out.
You had nobody to advocate for you at all.
Nobody.
You probably got used to it at a certain point, right?
And very quickly acclimated to it. And when I was 21, they opened the doors and they were like, well, here's $75 and 3 condoms.
Yep.
Good luck. And there's no reintegration. Like, the programs are available, but you have to go pursue them.
Yeah.
There's nobody there to say, hey, get into this program that's going to help you reintegrate. I had nobody to do that. I was just lost in violence. And so they opened the doors. I'm like, well, what do you expect me to do? I don't know how to get a driver's license. I don't know how to apply for an apartment.
Right.
And then this is the first time I saw my brother since I was 12 years old. And so he came and picked me up with my mother. And I went and stayed with him for a minute. And it was just this very shift in the dynamic, right? Like I was bigger than him. I was tougher than him. I was meaner than him. I kind of became the bigger brother. And I think that he resented that on a level. And I started to rob drug dealers because I was like, well, this is going to be a lucrative industry. Yeah. I'm not, 15 anymore. I'm not going to go break into small things and steal, $20. I want to go hit this guy for $50,000. Why would I not do that? And I did that all across the country. I started to take trips down to Miami, out to California, and found out that I can pick up guns way cheaper in California, and I can bring them back up to Michigan, and I can make a lot of money off of these and a lot of drugs on top of it. Because when you deal with cartels, they love to throw you bonuses. Like, well, here's a bunch of dope for doing the business with us. I'm like, well, that's worth money too. So I started to, and I did that for about 20 months and then ended up getting caught again back in Michigan, and hit with 15 more felonies. I got caught with a lot of guns. So I got a lot of larceny of firearm charges, felon in possession of firearm charges, home invasion charges. And I pled out and got another 12 years. And went right back to prison, except this time I had gotten 2 women pregnant. And my brother was with me on most of this and had told on me. Because when we got arrested, I got away. I was pretty fast in my young years. I was, 23 and fast as shit. And they got caught. My brother and our friend Taco, they got caught. And I thought you had got away, and I figured that's what you'd want us to do. So they told on me and thinking that they were going to get released and that they would come for me. So I ended up getting caught. And that was just a real shock to me that my brother would do that. Right? Like I worshiped my brother. And so I went back for 12 years, and it was pretty much the same, right back into all your gang buddies are there like, hey, what's up, man? Welcome back. And in 2008, I'd helped my brother get out. My brother sent me a letter that said I saw the parole board because he had only gotten 2 years for the guns, but we had a bunch of pending charges. He said, I saw the parole board. They stayed my decision off because we have all these pending charges. Will you help me out? So I went into court and I took all the charges for him. I went in there and said, it was me. I was by myself. There was nobody else there. So they dropped all their charges against him because they had no evidence. And they gave him a parole. And he sends me a letter like, I'm going to be homeless. I don't have anywhere to go. So I called up my oldest son's mother, who I had met through him. He used to date her sister. And I was like, she hated him. She was like, he told on you. He got you put back in prison. I hate him. There's no way in hell he's coming here. I was like, it's my brother.
Yeah.
He's like the single human being on the planet that I have any affection for outside of you and my kid. Right. And so she reluctantly agreed. And he got out in October 2008 or August 2008. Yeah, August of 2008. And I called him the day he got out. Everything was good. And that was the last time I heard from him or my son or my kid's mother that day. And I'm like, what the? I mean, I called every day, every morning, every night, talked to my son, talked to her, like, and being stuck in that environment, it really mentally screws with you, right? Like, what
You're
the hell is going
constantly
on, right? Like, like, did they get in a car accident? What the hell happened? I have nobody else to contact. And then I still, I mean, we're fast forwarding from August to October. I'm still calling every day, still trying every day. And then out of the blue, the phone answers. I'm like, oh, and it's her. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Right.
What happened? She says, you're going to hate me. Like, why would I hate you? I'm not going to hate you. What the fuck? And she's, oh, I'm pregnant. I was like, well, I mean, I'm doing 12 years in prison. I don't expect you to not have some fun, right? Like you don't have to be a nun. And she's like, no, it's Frank's. And that's my brother. And I'm like, it was that moment that I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I worship this dude my whole life. And I've told this story several times, and a lot of people, they miss it. They don't understand why I'm angry. I'm not angry about it because I'm in love with her still, or because it's the betrayal that exists of a whole life of this guy being my protector. And then turning that around, and this guy, like, I did this time in prison for you. I took all this off of you. And the one thing on the planet that meant anything to me was this kid. All right. And you just took that, because also she said, we're going to raise Keta as our own. We don't think that you should call anymore, and hung up the phone. So not only did you ruin the relationship that I had going, but you took my son from me. The one thing that was, and this is why, I say I lost all faith in being a good person. A lot of people are like, oh, well, you were in prison for 12 years. Yeah, you were a good person. People change, right? People can still be good, right? That doesn't mean that you're not a good human being. I know tons of the best forms of humans that are in prison, right? Yeah. It's just that I lost my shit at that point. And it wasn't long after some young kid ran into my cell and stole all my stuff while I was at work. I worked in the kitchen, and I did a lot of gambling for like football. And so I had a lot of store goods in my cell, and it was all gone when I got back. And it took about 10 seconds before people were like, dude, it's that guy Flint. He did it. And I beat this kid so horribly that it was really bad. They had to gas me to get me off of him. They carted me down to segregation, threw me in the hole. And that's where everything changed for me. I was wiping pepper spray and blood off my face, and I heard this guy, hey, white boy. And he's across the hall. We were at the very end of this cell. And this guy, he changed my life, right? Like, I cussed him out for the first 5 or 6 days that I'm in the hole, and every day he's calling over, hey, white boy, come talk to me. And I'm just cussing him out. And I went down to see the security classification committee, and they were like, so the guy's in a coma. If he dies, we're going to charge you with murder, and you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. As it sits, we'll see you in 5 years. Head back up for 60 months. And so it just got this 60-month sentence in solitary confinement. Damn it, that sucks. So I go back up. Hey, white boy, what happened? So I'm like, God damn it, this guy just won't shut up. So I go to the door. What, dude? What do you want? And he said, I just want to ask you a question. Why are you so angry? I'm like, what kind of question is that? Like, out of all the things you wanted to ask me, because I'm in prison, I'm in the hole, my life sucks, you won't shut up. There's a lot of reasons why I'm angry. And he said, no. That's why you're mad. And mad is a surface emotion. It's temporary. Anger is something that's much deeper, and it cuts to your soul, and you're a very angry young man. And I had no response for that. And I'm like, shit. Screw you, man. So I went back and I started to pace, and it just, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I am very angry. Yeah. I'm angry all the time. And so I decided to dump my life on the guy. Then just told him everything about my life. And over the next 19 months, he schooled me. He became my mentor. He became like this leader figure for me. That he sent me a book that was by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
I've read that. Yeah, it's a good one.
And it's the single greatest book I've ever read in my life. Right? There's a sentence in there that stuck out to me the most. That suffering ceases to be suffering the moment you give it a meaning. So as soon as you give it a purpose, such is the meaning of sacrifice. And for me, that just resonated with me so hard. Like, suffering ceases to be suffering the moment you give it a purpose, right?
Yeah.
Like, everything that I've been through in my life, if I give it a purpose, it's not suffering anymore. Now it's a tool. And then he sent me over this book by Mark Sanborn called The Fred Factor, which really blew my mind. And the one that really kind of changed it for me was the likability factor. The L Factor is a book. And it's this book about how to be likable. And when I read it, I'm like, dude, what are you just messing with me, man? Like, this book just shows me what a piece of shit I am, that I'm not worthy of being liked by anybody. He's like, no, you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. Like Viktor Frankl says, when we can no longer control our environment, we're forced and challenged to control this, right? This isn't showing you what you are. It's showing you what you can be, right? Your personality is your choice. You get to choose everything. Every single thing in life is a choice. Everything, sadness, depression, anger, fear, everything's a choice. You get to choose everything. And so I started, and he just took me down this path of self-forgiveness and what that looks like, and compassion and kindness and love and acceptance. And I was able to just dive into this and did months and months of self-reflection and reading. And I started to write. And the more I wrote, the more this stuff started to really resonate with me. I started to write these forgiveness letters. Because I didn't know how I would be forgiven for some of the people that I've hurt. Right? Like, I don't even know who you are. I don't know them. I don't know their names. I have so many faceless victims. How do I begin to make amends for that?
Right.
You write them letters. Write them letters, and you put it out there. And what if you get God, Buddha, Allah, Jehovah, whatever you call this universal power that dictates everything in the world. If your remorse is heartfelt, it'll be put on the hearts of those victims. They're going to know it. And so I did that. And one of the most profound practices was writing my obituary. And he had me write this obituary. And the first time I wrote it, and he's like, "What, you just died today?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I don't know what you mean. You want me to write an obituary? That's what an obituary is, right? Write it from the perspective of 5 people. When you die, this is what they're going to say about you at your funeral." And he's like, "Wait, but you just died today." He's like, "When do you want to die? How old are you going to be when you die?"
Right.
So I wrote it from the perspective of being 110 years old, right? And all these things that I want to accomplish. And then when I got done, it took me a long time, but when I was done, he's like, "You have a blueprint for the rest of your life, right? This is literally a step-by-step guide of what you want to accomplish in your life." And so I've followed that nonstop since. And that's been my mode of operation ever since, right? And I dedicated my life to service. I dedicated it to trying to help people. I began to figure out that I was such an acerbic human being because of the victimization that I had gone through in my life. It's not that I blame those circumstances for my actions, but those put me in the mentality to do the things that I did, to lose my sense of compassion, to lose my consciousness, right? To lose the ability to empathize with a victim.
Your humanity.
I lost it because I had put on so many masks of survival that I had lost that humanity.
Yeah.
And you can take those off, right? You can learn to take those off again. And it starts with forgiveness. It starts with forgiving yourself. I'm a human being. Every one of us are human beings. None of us have a guidebook on how to do this thing in life. Everything you know, you've been taught by somebody else. Your moral standards, your religion, your faith, your beliefs, everything you know about life, you were taught from somebody else's perspective. And so who says that they're right?
Right.
Right. So when you start to delve into that, you can write your life the way you want it to be. Right. And if you let kindness and love be your navigator, like you make the world around you better. Like the universe will provide for you. Like life will be good for you. And I found that out even from prison, from being in this horrible environment, that life is starting to bless me, right? And I carried that with me. And I got out 9 years ago in 2016, and I got into music. And I started to do music and was very successful for a period until COVID hit. And then most people saw COVID as the world shut down, life was over, and I saw it as another blessing, an opportunity to do something. So I started to get into content creation on YouTube and grew a global audience. And I'm like, I'm just going to take it from here. I want people to understand that no matter what you've done in life, there's a path back, right? There's always whatever's happened to you, you didn't ask for your trauma. And that goes for victims, for military veterans, from accident people that have been into accidents. Like, you didn't ask for that trauma. So you don't deserve to carry the shame and guilt that come with it. Right. And I, my wife calls me the accidental Buddhist. Right. Because
that's hilarious.
Yeah. She's like, because I've never studied Buddhism. I've studied a lot of other religions, but I never studied Buddhism. And she's like, but you are a card carrying Buddhist. Like, I'm never up and I'm never down. I'm pretty much even the whole time. Like, the greatest thing in the world could happen to me. I'm like, all right, cool. I expected that. The worst thing in the world could happen. I'm like, yeah, well, it happens. Right. Yeah. Like, and so I go and I just try to use the things that I've been through. I can never tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I've done. And if there's something in there that can help you get through something you've been through, that's all I can ask for. I've turned that pain into a purpose. I've given the suffering a meaning.
It's giving you contrast too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much where, in a nutshell, up to where we've gotten to up until the last 3 months.
That's incredible.
When did your book come out?
I want to say it was September of last year, but I'm thinking my time scales are off, and I think it was September of 2022 that it came out.
The time just goes, doesn't it? Because you don't know where it goes.
So I moved to Palm Springs in June of 2021. And my wife and I opened up a cat cafe. We have the only cat cafe.
I love that so
Coachella Valley.
Oh my God.
And when she had the idea, I'm like, yes, do that. Because these poor animals are stuck in these cages that people come in to adopt these cats. And like, you're not going to know that cat. That's like if you would have came and visited me in prison randomly to adopt me.
Right.
Like, you're not going to know who I am. I just want out of this cell. Right. So I'm just going to do whatever it takes to get out of this cell.
Yeah.
Same thing with that cat. The cat's just doing whatever it can to get out of that cage. So if we build an environment that's almost like a living room that gives them a home environment, you'll actually learn what that cat is like. And so that's what we've done. We've done 140 some adoptions, and
oh my gosh.
And we take these cats out of that shelter and we put them in a nice mid-century modern living room environment. And then we're a neurodiverse employer as well. So we only hire people that have disabilities, like invisible disabilities, I want to say acoustic. I don't know why I want to say acoustic.
Autism or PTSD
any of these things. So like the girl that we have now, she has like one of the rarest forms of epilepsy in the world, and it's caused a lot of brain damage, and she forgets things a lot. But she's been with us for like 2 years now, and like she could practically run the joint.
Yeah.
It's the only job she's ever had in her life, and she loves it, and she's great at it. And it takes time and patience to work with people, and just to it's not a disability. It's a superpower, right? This is just who you are. And so when we meet people where they're at and who they are, it gives them the confidence to be better.
Yeah.
Right? And so, once I got into that, I'm like, this needs to be known, right? And so that was the whole point of the book. My wife was like, you need to put your life in a book and let's write it. So we had a very rigid system. She helped me write the book. And so every morning she would interview me for an hour, take notes, write stuff, record, and I would go run the cafe, and I'd come back and she'd be like, look what I wrote. And I'd go through it and be like, well, so my wife's English. She's from Britain.
Okay.
And she makes my mentor there, Mallory Bay, who is this very rough Detroit street gangster, sound like a Brit.
Oh my gosh.
Like, he wouldn't have said that. No, that's not. He wouldn't have called me a mate. That's not how he would have told me. So, go through and make some edits for accuracy. But we wrote the book in 3 months. We put it out, and the effect that this book has had on people has, again, it exemplifies what Viktor Frankl said.
Yeah.
Right. And I had the luxury of meeting Mark Sieg, who is a Viktor Frankl therapist in Gulfport, Florida. He runs the Gulfport Community Center, and he's a therapist in Gulfport, and he teaches logotherapy that was, taught by Viktor Frankl. And so I've got to learn about the Viktor Frankl Institute, and everything has kind of come full circle with that. And so my life is about helping. And then maybe 4 months ago, I met a lady on my TikTok, who introduced me to Dane Daniels. And Dane Daniels used to volunteer for an organization called Operation Lightshine. And he introduced me to Jim Cole and Brian Waite. And they flew me out to Jacksonville, Florida. And I met Tim Tebow. And I found out what they do. And learned the very horrible reality of child exploitation and trafficking and how that looks. And I was part of that demographic of people that think trafficking is something that happens by cartels in another country.
No, it's not.
It's here. There's 20,000 cases every 30 days that happen right here.
It's generation.
In your backyard.
Yeah.
And every backyard. The largest CSAM, which it's called child sex abuse material. We don't call it child pornography. Pornography is consenting adults that are screwing on film. Yeah. Kids don't have that. So we call it child sex abuse material. And last year, Operation Lightshine was the leading force in taking down the largest online forum on the dark web, which had over 1 million registered users. Oh, and this is not something you accidentally fall, which was 90% of their arguments. Oh, I accidentally clicked on it. You're on the dark web. You don't accidentally get here. Yeah. Over 1 million registered users. And this is being ran by Patrick Folte and Benjamin Faulkner. And this is a guy from Franklin, Tennessee and Canada. And they're running the largest forum in the world. And they ended up taking them down. There's a wonderful podcast called Hunting Warhead that I highly advise you to listen to. Okay. But once I took part of this intercept task force in Jacksonville with Tim Tebow and the Tim Tebow Foundation, which absolutely incredible human beings, we saved 25 kids in 3 days. Wow. We found 25 kids that were being trafficked or abused in the Jacksonville area, North Florida. And for me, it just sang to my soul. Yeah, and so now I have a partnership with these guys. And, we are leading the charge. And so what we do is we build intercept task forces. We work with FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, local police agencies, and we bring all of them together and they fund their resources, the technology they need to battle this online predator, to go in and find these people that are abusing these kids and save these kids. And the government doesn't help. I mean, they help this much.
Incrementally.
Every year they give $40 billion to the counter drug fight. That's with a B. Yeah. 150 million with an M to saving kids. And nobody has a problem with that.
Right.
And it's because of ignorance, right? It's because we don't know that this is happening. Because when's the last time you saw a child trafficking commercial? You haven't. Right? How many child trafficking organizations can you name? Probably not many, if any, but we can name a ton of anti-drug and alcohol organizations that exist. You know, Betty Ford, AA, NA, we can run down the list. Yeah. What is the problem? Right? Those kids that they're failing to protect become this guy. Right? They become the alcoholics and the drug addicts and the criminals that cause the $40 billion problem that they're trying to fix.
100%.
And so I'm fully dedicated at this point to spreading awareness about this and fighting this fight, because these kids, man, I was that kid. Yeah. I was that kid that didn't have hope. And I didn't know when I went in and I saw this task force, these 50 agents that are in there they're killing themselves, man. They have to watch this. Could you imagine having to watch hours of a child being raped? No. So that you can try to identify something in that video that was like, this is where that kid is. Yeah. They found him. And then when you're done, here, just go have dinner and a bourbon, because that's about all you're going to get, because then you got to get on to the next one. Like, these guys suffer so much vicarious trauma. And I'm like, I was that kid that needed these heroes. Yeah. And these kids that are out here now, they don't know that this exists. They don't have any hope. They trauma bond to their abusers because they don't know that there's people out here that are fighting to save them. Yeah. Right. And then when we talk about it in public, oh, I don't want to hear about that. Oh, it makes me uncomfortable. What do you
like
think
a Stockholm
4-year-old feels like?
Yeah.
It makes you uncomfortable to hear it?
Right.
Why don't you do something about it then?
Yeah.
Right? Go do something.
Yeah.
Right? And we all can. Like, how many of us spend $40 a week at Starbucks? Right? That could save a kid's life.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's my whole life now is dedicated to this cause. Right. And for me, it's just Viktor Frankl ringing in my ears, right? Like suffering ceases to be suffering the moment you give it a purpose.
I feel like, was there ever any time when you had said something when you were younger and it like kind of fell on deaf ears?
Yeah, I told on my uncle when I was 10. Apparently we had told on him a few times. But I got him sent to prison when I was 10. And he used to threaten all the time. Like, if you say anything, I'll have to hurt the whole family,
Right.
you know.
It's very common.
And so when I did tell, that came to pass, just not the way that he had threatened, because my whole family fell apart. You know, we used to go to grandma's house for every holiday, every other weekend, several times a week. We're going over there because, you know, grandma's very loving, makes cookies and food. And when that happened, they all blamed me. They said I was lying. Half of them said I was lying. That didn't happen. Uncle Mike would never do that. The other half said it was my fault. Well, you must be enticing him or something. And so the whole family just, it ceased to be. Yeah. And so we would only go to grandma's house when it was me and my brother and my mom to see my uncle or my grandma and my grandpa. And none of the rest of the family because we weren't allowed, right? And then, you know, fast forward 20 years, he raped all of us. He raped all the grandkids. They all came out eventually. And now all the parents, the aunts and uncles that were blaming me and saying I was lying are all like, I'm so sorry. Like, your kids got it too. Had y'all listened to me, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Yeah. And then I spent half my life swarmed in guilt because if I had said something when I was 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, or 8, maybe my cousin wouldn't have had that happen to him. Right. You know, I got a message from my cousin, who I haven't talked to in 30 years, out of the blue on Instagram, who messaged me and was like, dude, that happened to me for so long. I couldn't eat yogurt until I was in my 30s. Thank you for speaking up. And I just felt like this responsibility. Yeah. Like, had I said something sooner, he wouldn't have had to endure that. Or how many countless cousins I've got that wouldn't have had to endure that. And now he's dead, and it's all, you know, he's got a nice, beautiful grave that we just went and saw. Like, and it's over for him. But this wake of destruction of all my cousins, I don't even know who they are. Like, I don't know them. I don't talk to anybody in my family, but they're living their life with this trauma that they had to endure. And you know, so that feeling of guilt can eat at you if you don't learn how to process that guilt, if you don't learn how to work through that emotion. And I'm by no means an educated guy. I don't know anything about psychology or psychotherapy or any of it. I just know what I've gone through. Yeah. And I know that holding yourself accountable for something you didn't ask for it's going to lead you to depression. It's going to lead you to suicide. And you're worth so much more than that. Yeah. Right. And so
it's like they say, it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility.
Right.
It's your responsibility to heal from it.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to the person that feels like they can't heal from it, that they're too far gone?
You're not. You're worthy of it. It's your right. It's not a privilege to heal. It's a right. Right? You didn't ask for the trauma, so you don't have to ask for the healing. You don't need someone's permission to do it. It's your right. You deserve it. Right. And it's not your fault. Right. You're not culpable on any level, and you're worthy of healing, and you deserve to heal. Right. And it can happen at a moment's notice. It doesn't take years of therapy. It doesn't. Some people are stuck in this belief that I have to go through years of counseling, and you really don't. Right. It's just, there's a light that can just spark at a moment and be like, you're right. It was not my fault. I didn't do it. Start using this. This thing right here will save your life. It's so hard to talk about it at first. It's like, to say that I've been raped and know that there's going to be 10,000 dudes that are going to be like, ha, ha, well, how did it feel? Which one was your favorite? Blah, blah. To allow that fear of that judgment to prevent me from using my voice is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Right. And so courage and bravery are the call of the day, right? Stand up, and regardless of who's going to say something, say it anyway. Speak it until it doesn't hurt anymore. Scream that shit from the rooftops. I tell everybody I come into contact with, in the first 10 minutes you know me, you know I've been raped and I spent 18 years in prison, right? And if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. There's 8 billion people on the planet. Yeah. I'll tell the next person that comes along, right? Yeah. But most of the time I feel that I'm not looking for your pity. I'm looking for you to learn something. Yeah. I want you to walk away from an experience with me being educated, being like, that guy can do it, so can I. Yeah. Or if you haven't been through something, I know somebody that has, and they need to hear that. And you know what I mean? And that's why I do it. I don't care if it makes people uncomfortable, right? It's people healing is worth way more than your comfort. Right.
That's a beautiful statement. I really do agree with that. Yeah. And it's such an incredible story. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the things that you're an inspiration.
Thank
you. Like what you have been through, there's
so many parallels.
Stand there.
Yeah.
And you have that self-confidence and that pride to go forward. That is exactly what I'm talking about, right? We need more people like you that stand up and slap that bravery on and say, I didn't ask for that, and I'm not going to be held a slave to it.
100% that's what it is, because that shame will keep you in a dark shrouded closet. Like it'll just be like a weighted blanket on your soul, you know? And the moment that you release it, you're free.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what gave me bravery was somebody else's. It transferred. I saw somebody else be brave. And I was like, maybe I can be brave too.
Yes. And that's why I don't care if somebody else judges me for me telling my life story.
Right.
Because there's somebody that needs to hear it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody's going to be like, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And I know it because I communicate with them.
Well, you're the living proof.
We are living proof.
You're the living proof, is because I think people do that trauma comparison thing, but they're like, man, I haven't been through the things that they've been through, and look at them. They're thriving, you know, like if they can overcome all of that, then I should have no problem overcoming this. So in that case, the comparative, you know, trauma comparing is a good thing, you know, like compare in that way if you're going to compare, you know.
I think they need to hear it. They need to know that, right? Because if we don't tell them that, then they're just going to feel like they don't deserve to tell their story. Yeah. Because who am I compared to Keta and what she's gone through? Like my little abuse doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And that wound will fester and destroy your life.
Yeah.
Right. And you and I have no special powers that nobody else has.
Right.
Right. We just made a decision. We made a choice.
Yeah, a few of them, multiple choices.
And those choices have led us to freedom.
Yeah.
And anybody else can do it. Yeah. That's the beautiful part. Anybody else can do what we're doing.
Agreed.
Just open your mouth.
Agreed. And if you're listening to that testament, like it's true. It's very true. There's nobody who cannot overcome the things that they've been through. And it's a matter of fact, they will give you superpowers.
100%.
Like they'll give you superhuman compassion, superhuman understanding, superhuman gratitude, superhuman tolerance. Oh my gosh, the tolerance that I've gained through some of these experiences, you know. And I
don't know about for you, but for me, once I was brave enough to speak, I can't shut up. I can't stop talking about it. Because the feeling of release and freedom that you get, that weight, it's the greatest drug ever.
Yeah.
Right? Like
being received.
It's oh my God, it's off my chest. Like, that's a high. Right? That's a high. Like I just let go of 40 years of daddy issues I didn't even realize I had. Meeting my father for the first time in 30 years in Gulfport, Florida. And the moment I hugged him, I fell in love with him. Like I grew up indifferent. I never blamed you, But I also, I never yearned for you. I never yearned for my father. I was just like, yeah, well, he wasn't there. And my whole life, it's been like, that's what I don't want to be like, is that guy. Yeah. Until I found out that my psychopathic mother kept us from him.
Yeah.
And he's like, every time you called, I was there. And he was. Every time I ever called my father in my life, I saw him like 3 or 4 times in my youth. Every time I called him, he showed up. And he's like, why do you think that was? He's like, I didn't know where the hell you were. Yeah. But when you called me, I got your address. Bang, I was there. And then as soon as that was done, your mother moved you again. And I had no idea where you were at. Mm. And it just made sense. And my father, you could see the love that my father has for me. And I'm like, shit, I didn't even realize I had these daddy issues. Mm-hmm. But it's like a weight comes off your shoulder. And I have my father in my life. At 44 years old, I can call my father. Mm. I've never had that in my life, and I can call him now, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the beauty of using your voice. It's the beauty of speaking, talking about your pain. It opens the universe to you.
It does.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your
story. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. And you can find out more about Sonny Von Cleavland in the description. We're going to put all of his social media and the link to his book, Hey White Boy. And yeah, that's it for another episode of StraitJacket Podcast. And we will see you next time. Love you. Bye.